Republicans are not stopping with the Biden impeachment threats. We've talked about this now off and on for several weeks, if not several months in a broader sense. But there was the question, are Republicans realizing they don't have any actual evidence against Joe Biden? This criminal bribery conspiracy that he was involved in doesn't seem to really exist. Maybe we will quietly move on from talking about impeaching Joe Biden. No. 2 weeks ago, we started hearing from various Republicans that they expect Joe Biden to be impeached in 2024. And one of the fascinating pieces of video related to this include Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, being asked about the merits of the Biden impeachment, the merits of the Trump impeachments. And essentially what Speaker Mike Johnson says here is that the Trump impeachments were bad, but the Biden impeachment would be good. That is, of course, if they decide to go forward and do it. Take a listen to this.
President Biden and the Biden family. We owe it to the American people to continue this process, but to do it methodically and transparently. Many of you know I'm a lawyer, I'm a constitutional law attorney. I served on President Trump's impeachment defense team twice.
Right.
And we lamented openly and we decried how the Democrats politicized that process. They were brazenly political and how they brought those meritless impeachment charges against the president. This, what you're seeing here, is exactly the opposite.
This is different, guys. This is different.
We are the rule of law team. The Republican Party stands for the rule of law.
So the argument here, Trump impeachment bad, Biden impeachment would be good. A number of Republicans, they are very clearly ramping up to this. A number of Republicans now talking about this. Here is a clip from yesterday, I believe it is, from Fox News, where they're talking about this very issue.
Jim Jordan, House Ways and Means Committee, Chairman Jason Smith. Gentlemen, I apologize. It's a little shortened segment than we had planned for. Congressman Comer, this is your committee. This is 2018. A money laundering investigator warning about Hunter's unusual erratic payments from China. Why didn't anything happen?
Well, that's a great question. The bank did what it was supposed to do. The compliance officer caught it. They realized that this is a wire into what they said was a company with no known purpose.
Now, remember, it's really important as you hear James Comer talk about this stuff. It's not even clear there's a crime here. I am not going to come here and defend all of Hunter Biden's business practices because there could be all sorts of different reasons why this money is moving. Maybe it's completely innocent. Maybe it's not. But we don't even know that there's a crime here. And we absolutely have no connection to Joe Biden. That's the important thing. How is this all supportive of an impeachment inquiry of Joe Biden?
It was a shell company or a fake company. And they were concerned because the politically exposed person who owned the account was the son of the former vice president of the United States.
Remember, the son of the former president of the vice president of the United States, who at that time did not even have an official role.
They knew through press accounts and through his ex-wife's testimony and interviews that he had a drug problem, that he was in financial trouble. So they knew that he was compromised. They knew that China did this. This is the way that China bought influence. This is the way that China compromised politicians. They would send money to compromised family members of big politicians to try to gain influence. So when they contacted the Bidens, asked what was this $5 million wire, they said it was a loan. Just like what Joe Biden said, the checks that we identified he received was a loan.
So there it is. They find a way to crowbar Biden in by saying, well, if these were loan repayments to Hunter Biden, that sounds very similar to this thing Joe Biden said, which related to his cousin, which is completely public and on the up and up. And there is still nothing connecting Joe Biden to any kind of crime or even evidence of a crime at all. Let's look at one more of these. Here is Elise Stefanik, Republican Congresswoman, taking questions during the, this is sort of like a weekly question thing that Republicans do.
Good morning. Thank you for coming to our weekly House Republican Stakeout. I hope you all had a happy Thanksgiving. Welcome back. I wanted to begin with a quote from Thomas Jefferson, who said, Quote, the most sacred of the duties of government is to do equal and impartial justice to all its citizens. In pursuit of that sacred duty, House Republicans have worked tirelessly on behalf of the American people for months to deliver transparency following the money and the facts to uncover what I believe will prove to be one of the largest political corruption scandals of our lifetime.
Is there any crime that you've identified yet, Elise?
And potentially in our nation's history. This impeachment inquiry, led by the chairman here today, Jamie Comer, Jim Jordan, and Jason Smith, continues to provide the American people the answers they both demand and deserve.
Does it?
They have found over $10 million from China, Russia, Ukraine, and Romania funneled through the corrupt influence peddling schemes to line the pockets of the Biden crime family.
Notice, by the way, that she doesn't say where that money was going, because so far what they've found is that Hunter Biden's company received money. They did work in exchange for money. There is no connection to Joe Biden. She's always very careful with her words on that.
DOJ, FBI, and other federal agencies mobilized to play cover-up and attack Biden's leading political opponent, Donald Trump, in a desperate effort to distract from Joe Biden's failings.
There you go. So there's the conspiracy that the indictments against Donald Trump are timed in order to distract from all of Joe Biden's problems. Of course, it's like, what problems are you talking about? This investigation has found nothing. So let's just review. Donald Trump's first impeachment was because of abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. The abuse of power came from the allegation that Trump solicited foreign interference in 2020. It relates to Ukraine and the idea that he wanted Biden investigated and the investigation to be publicly announced and so on and so forth. Trump's second impeachment was for incitement of insurrection after the January 6th riot. We know what happened on that day. In both cases, there was an inquiry, there was an investigation, charges were brought based on specific actions that were attributed to Donald Trump. Now, he was ultimately acquitted. But remember that being impeached, really what we mean is the House has impeached you, then it goes to a trial, the Senate decides whether to convict or acquit. On the other hand, what we have with Joe Biden are allegations without any evidence, no evidence of a crime, never mind evidence that Joe Biden is connected to a crime. And when you call them out and say, it doesn't seem like you have evidence, they say, well, the evidence is being covered up. They're stonewalling us. We believe, we expect, we are thinking that this is what we are going to find when we investigate. But we need to do the impeachment inquiry to find the evidence because they're obstructing us. Now, the simplest explanation in this case, to me, seems like the most reasonable one. They haven't found evidence that in his 40-plus year public career, Joe Biden committed a crime because Joe Biden didn't commit any crimes. I would be the first to say if evidence of a crime was brought forward, that's something he needs to be held accountable for. At this point in time, they have nothing. It is not stopping them. And it is yet another thing that's on the table. If Republicans do well in 2024, they almost certainly will impeach Joe Biden if he wins re-election and Trump does not. And so this is not just about November from the standpoint of the Oval Office. It's about November from the standpoint of the Senate, the House of Representatives. They don't care that they don't have evidence. They are actually using that to say it must be covered up, so therefore we need to do more. People in my audience who sometimes struggle with sleep. You know you've got those habit-forming prescription medications, which sometimes have side effects. You've got your herbal remedies that often do nothing. That's why the go-to can be melatonin, which is clinically proven to work and without the side effects and the grogginess. Our sponsor, Beam, makes delicious nighttime hot cocoa drinks called Dream with melatonin to help you get to sleep. Melatonin can also help correct circadian rhythm disturbances to get your schedule back on track. Like, for example, if you have jet lag, Beam's Dream Hot Cocoa with melatonin comes in great tasting flavors like mint chocolate chip, chocolate peanut butter, sea salt caramel, or caramel. Come on. No sugar added, sweetened with monk fruit, only 15 calories per serving. My favorite is cinnamon cocoa. I'll just be upfront. It's great to have before bed sometimes. It's hot, very flavorful, but not overly sweet. It's just a soothing way to wind down like an hour before going to bed. If you want to try Beam's best-selling Dream Powder, take advantage of their biggest sale of the year. Get up to 50% off for a limited time when you go to shopbeam.com/Pacman. The link is down below.